Hey y'all, Grandma Rose here. I'm going to tell you what happened this morning. Well, let me preface this a little bit and tell you that my last month's electric bill came in, and it was over $300, more like $350. And I live in a little house, and I live in the South. I live in Mississippi. My house is around 1,000 square feet, maybe less. 3 small bedrooms, 1 bath, small living room, no den, kitchen's not that big, and I have a small utility room. It's not a big house, and I had a $350 utility bill, electric bill. That's the electric bill. That does not include gas, that does not include water, waste, all of the other things that we pay for. I nearly freaked out. So what I did is I made up my mind that I was immediately going to turn down the thermostat. So I had the thermostat set where it was about 60 at night and up to 68 to 70 during the day. So I went down to 55 at night and 65 during the day. And the last bill that came in, my electric bill came in, was $100 less. So yes, turning down the thermostat worked. That didn't mean that I was cold, though, and I'll show you why. And that's leading back to what happened today. Well, today I got up, and the thermostat was reading 55. It was cold, so I turned it back up to 65, and it turned on, but it was still cold. I got dressed, put on the clothes that I had on yesterday. In fact, I still have them on. Corduroy trousers with a pair of leggings underneath. A shirt underneath the sweater. There's that. A worsted weight wool, Fair Isle, which means it's doubled in some parts, hand-knit sweater, wool. Should be warm, right? Still not warm. So, I put this on. This is a cowl. Some people call them neck warmers. It's just a loop. It's like a scarf that's been sewed together at the end, and you wear it around your neck like this. Like that. And it's caught in my hair. Darn it. Well, I'll pretend like it's not. Okay, so this is around my neck. I should be warm, right? Still wasn't warm. I'm sitting in here in this little room where I am right now, which has south-facing windows. But I have double windows, lots of glass, single pane glass, because this house was built in the 50s. So until the sun comes out during the day, this room is pretty chilly because we lose a lot of heat on these windows. So here's what I did. I have a little small shawl. It's more like a scarf, crescent shape. Can you see that? A crescent-shaped scarf. Essentially a scarf, but it's called a shawl. Put that on. Warm? What the heck was going on? So, this throw is on the chair. This is a pretty thing. Narrow. I mean, it's not a wide like a blanket. It's like a maybe 24 inches wide, knit in a lace stitch. It's really pretty. See this? Knit out of Surrey alpaca. So this is 100% alpaca, and it's warm. That's why I keep this by this chair. This is my lap robe. That's what I put on when I'm chilly at night. Well, I put this on like a shawl around my shoulders. Put that on, and that helped. And so then I put this on. And you know what? I was fine. Bundled up, sitting inside my house. The heat was on, but it wasn't yet 60 degrees in the house yet. It was in the 50s, and I was cold. Now, this is Mississippi. have to think about the humidity in Mississippi. I have been in Minnesota in February, and it felt warmer than it does in Mississippi, and 32 degrees. So 32 degrees in Mississippi feels cold because the humidity, it's just sticky. It doesn't, I can't explain it to you. It's a different kind of cold. When I was in Minnesota and it warmed up to 32, outside in a light sweater and did not even need a jacket. So I know the difference. I've been in Minnesota at 32 degrees, and I've been in Mississippi at 32 degrees, and Mississippi feels colder at the same temperature. That doesn't mean we don't get down below zero temperatures in the winter. That just doesn't happen. Now next week it's supposed to get down to about 15. I think that's what it said. So it's going to be in the teens, and then it'll warm back up again. But we're going to have a few days of pretty cold weather. Now, tell you what happened. So I went back in the bedroom to brush my hair, because at this point I still hadn't brushed my hair. And I looked at my sweater. Take all this stuff off. I don't need it now. That was earlier. I don't need all this stuff now. Now I look at my sweater, and it was bunched up like this in the front. I put the darn thing on backwards. So the back of my neck was lower, and the skin was exposed on the back of my neck, and everything I was putting on was going right around the center part of my neck and leaving that lower back part still exposed. So as soon as I put my sweater back on right and turned it back around, it was much, much, much better. However, that got me thinking. I started looking around and thinking, it was cold in here, and I was able to get warm. I was able to layer my clothing. I not only had on an undershirt and a wool sweater and 2 layers of pants, but I had all these woolens that I could put on and layer on. So I'm fortunate because I'm a knitter, and I've been knitting for enough years that I have a backlog of things. I mean, I basically have something to go with every color. Just about every color in the rainbow, I have something that will go with that. But I want to show you around this room and show you what I've got and what I'm thinking about. Number one before I do that is I have just recorded a video, and I have not edited it yet, but talking about the paper that came out back in December by the President's Committee. It was a, what was it called? NIAC, National Infrastructure Advisory Council. It advises the President of problems with the country's infrastructure. And these are all executives and different agencies, private, public, governmental, non-governmental, power companies, all of the stuff. There's a whole lot that's been said about it recently, and I'm going to have my say about it, but I'm not going to talk about that in this video. But that's been on my mind because I've just recorded it, and I started thinking, what can I do to be prepared? Because essentially that's what this paper said. Not essentially, but in so many words the paper did say we need to become a nation of preppers. It really did say that. I'm paraphrasing what it said. It didn't say that in so many words, but it said every individual in the country needs to be prepared. That's the same thing, isn't it? I think so. So how am I prepared? What have I done for myself to make myself prepared for a catastrophe? Well, I have garden seeds. I'm a gardener. I know I don't just have the seeds as a collection, but I know how to garden. I know how to grow plants. I know how to grow vegetables. I have chickens, so I have eggs. I have chickens. I have more roosters than I should, but I have a lot of chickens. I got, 8 or 10 eggs today in one day in the wintertime. It's going to be better in the summer. What else am I prepared for? So I've got seeds, I have eggs. So I can have vegetables, I can eat eggs, I can have protein, I can have vegetables. I don't have milk, I don't have a source for milk. Another thing that I do have, I'm talking about my woolens, I have a wall of yarn. It is my, quote, wall of yarn. I've been collecting yarn for 15 years probably. at least 15 years. I've been collecting. I'm a collector. I wouldn't say I'm a hoarder, because that's not the same thing. This is organized, and it's not getting in my way, and it's not affecting my standard of living. But I have a good supply of yarn. And this isn't just cheap hobby store yarn. A lot of this is good woolens. It's wool and alpaca and mohair and some silk. There's a good bit of cotton for making things around the house. And I can, if it came down to it, I could not only keep myself warm, but I could keep my friends warm. I have enough yarn. I've counted, and I'll show you in just a second. Enough yarn to make about six sweaters at least. Enough of the same color to make that many. I bought it in bulk with the intention of making a sweater. And I have done that. Every now and then it'll be on sale, and it'll be too good a sale to resist. And also, it's like stocking up on food. Instead of stocking up on groceries, I've been stocking up on yarn. And it's not a bad thing to do, because I believe in a disaster, in a catastrophe, I would be a valuable member of a community. I'm an old lady, but I can babysit for the children while the parents are out doing other stuff. And I could knit, and I could crochet, and I can make warm clothes for everybody. I can weed a garden. I can grow vegetables. There's other things that I can do too. But that was what I was thinking about. So let me show you. Let me turn this around here and show you. Well, not only can I knit, but I spin. One thing I don't do, I don't weave. I do not have a loom. But do you know how to crochet? Do you know how to knit? Do you know how to weave? If you know how to do any of these things, you can keep yourself warm. If you know how to do any of these things, in the event of a disaster, and in the event that you didn't have any more heat coming into your house, you could keep yourself warm like I did this morning. Granted, it was only about 55 degrees in here. If it had been a lot colder, I would be bundling up even more. But I still would have been able to keep myself warm, because I have enough that I could. I have enough layers that I could have kept myself warm, even if it were down in the 30s probably. So let me take my camera off the tripod, and let me show you my yarn. I may have gotten hints of that before. Let me walk over here and show you what I've got. First thing I'm going to show you is here in the corner. This contraption right here is my spinning wheel. It doesn't look much like the wheel that Sleeping Beauty or the Farmer's Daughter in Rumpelstiltskin has, does it? But it still functions the same way. That is a spinning wheel. And on here, that's yarn that I've spun down there on those spools. Got one more up here at the top. I need to get that off and put it in hanks, wind it up. And I'll be ready to spin some more. But down here in the bottom there, you see that pink? Well, there's another layer underneath that, and that is a sweater's worth of yarn, and underneath it is another sweater's worth of yarn. In that, there are 3 sweaters worth of yarn in there, maybe 4. I think there's 4 in that one. And even this stuff right here is enough to do just a small wrap. In here, there's right there and right there are 2 more sweaters worth of yarn. That blue right there is another one. And this conglomeration of stuff right here, the different colors, is enough to make one that is a Fair Isle type design, where I use multicolors for the same thing. There's more worsted weight wool that I could make more sweaters out of that if I needed to, but it's also good. This weight is good for scarves and hats and mittens and things like that. Same thing with that one. This one and this one down here. I've got this right here. Let me get that out of the way. These is yarn that I've spun on my spinning wheel. Down here, that's fiber. If you're a spinner, you recognize that as fiber. And boxes down there that contain other stuff that kept falling out, so I put it in boxes. Up here, This is more. This is a different weight. More. That's a different weight. And then, before I get to that, this one up here at the top, that's lace weight. I mean, this stuff is tiny. I mean, this stuff is just, you can see, I don't know if you can see how fine this stuff is. That's lace. About the only thing it's good for is knitting shawls, but shawls will still keep you warm even if they're made out of lace weight. So the rest of this, that, and that is fingering weight. These three here across the top, that one, and that one, I have with the intention of making socks. This all includes some nylon, which makes it more wearable. It'll wear easier. It's not going to wear out as soon. More utilitarian. And this down here is more for shawls and cowls and things like that, pretty things, but it's still wool. It'll still keep you warm. And this one right here is a whole bunch of different colors in the same weight as these, but this is 100% wool, and this is used for Fair Isle or for stranded colorwork knitting, where you knit different things, multiple. Well, let me turn this around to show you me and show you the sweater I've got on. You've seen it, but let me turn it around so you can see. Here I am. Do you see my sweater? This is Fair Isle. Come in close where you can see it. Where you've got, well, here I have like pink and green together. Some pink and then green, and then it fades up into more green, and then a darker green. In other words, every row is knit with two different colors. Well, that's what that is for. It's for doing that style of knitting. And I have enough to do several things with that. So I'm prepared. I'm a prepper. Part of my prep is yarn. Another thing is seeds. Let me show you another problem that I have. It's a problem, and it also could be a solution. Take you into my living room. Let me turn around and show you what I was talking about, my windows. Here's another little chair that I'm in the process of slip covering. Bookshelves, desk, printers, sleeping cat. So that's Sleeping Beauty. And look at this window. Big windows. There's the chair I've been sitting in. All the stuff that I just demonstrated that I put on and then took back off again. This is my room, my little room. I'm just standing in the middle of it and turning around. I haven't moved. But it's a very, very small room. And these windows make it cold. Well, let me show you my living room. But this room faces south. So that's a good thing. In the wintertime, the sun comes right in these windows. Hence, this curtain right here. But the sun comes right in these windows and makes that chair right here with the sun shining on it is very, very warm, and it's very enjoyable. So let's go in the living room. I'll show you in here. This is what I wanted to show you right here. I have a fireplace, but I don't have a fireplace. See that? Let me turn the light on in here. So what I have, I need to get a longer pipe for it, longer connector, but I have a propane heater. So there's my propane heater that's just attached to the propane gas right over there. And behind it is what was a fireplace. Here at the top, I don't know, can you see this? But right along here, if you can see that. That's silicone. Somebody put a piece of plywood, silicone around the edges, and it's screwed in. You see there? There's screws all around the perimeter of that. So there's screws all around the perimeter. And I don't know how to take the thing off. And I want to. Outside, the chimney has been has a cap on it. I mean, it's, you know, it's a metal cap that can be removed pretty easily. It needs to be cleaned, it needs to be checked. But in case of an emergency, in case I had to use firewood, I could open this thing up. Or I could have somebody open it up for me. And I would have a fireplace. I would be able to burn wood and heat my house with wood. Not extremely efficiently, but it could be done. I mean, eventually the propane for this is going to run out. But it's pretty handy right now. So I've got this propane heater, and I've got a propane gas. I have a propane stove, a propane hot water heater. And so if the electricity goes out, I have heat, I can cook, and have hot water. So all is not terrible. So back in here again, there's my wool. There's my spinning wheel. There's fiber. There's more fiber. You see that shelf there? There's a closet behind that. And there's more fiber in that closet. So, that was what happened this morning when I put my sweater on backwards and I couldn't get warm. It started me thinking about what kind of prepper could I be and how could I help a community. So have you thought about that? Have you thought about what kind of prepper you would be and how you could help a community? We can't do everything. I don't know how to do everything. I don't have a chainsaw. As much as I would love to have a chainsaw, I couldn't handle one. If I had it, I couldn't use it. What's the point of me? Well, actually, I do have one, but I can't use it. I just can't handle it. I'm going to have to sell the thing, or give it to somebody else. Maybe I can trade it to somebody else for something else. We can barter. I have a chainsaw that I'm not using. So this is the thing. I started thinking, because of the report that came out and because of the video that I'm doing on that, I had to join the crowd, but I started thinking about prepping and how everybody needs to be a prepper. In fact, I'll tell you one of the points of this other paper, of the other video, just to give you a taste of it, in case this comes up first. I have a feeling this is going to come out first. This is a direct quote. This is a direct quote from that report that came out. The NIAC report that came out to the President in mid-December. It's an ongoing myth that the federal government will be able to provide assistance and resources directly after an event to help with response. So, they admitted in this report that it's a myth that the government's going to be able to help us. We know that. We're going to have to help ourselves. And what can you do to help yourself? Think about that. Bye, y'all. See you next time.